This is for informational purposes only and not financial advice. For a full understanding, read all SEC filings.
Okay, sounds good.
You sent us Agenus's latest 8K filing.
Right.
And wow, it looks like they're making some big changes.
Huge changes.
They're a big player in immuno-oncology, developing treatments that help your own immune system fight cancer.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this 8K and the press release they put out the same day and see what's going on.
All right, so right off the bat, the 8K shows that Agenus wants to cut their yearly spending by a whopping 60%.
60%?
Yeah.
That's a huge number.
That's not just trimming the edges. That's a complete overhaul.
Their goal is to keep their spending under $100 million for 2025.
So 60%.
Huge.
What does that mean for the company?
Well, they're looking to rely less on outside help like consultants and vendors, which means streamlining their operations.
Okay.
And they're also reducing their workforce.
Right.
It's never easy to hear about job losses.
Yeah. But it does suggest Agenus is trying to become more efficient and laser-focused on specific projects.
The 8K mentions they'll have to spend about $1.1 million, mainly on severance packages.
Yeah.
Because of these workforce reductions.
Mm-hmm.
Tough decisions for sure.
Really tough.
And these costs are expected to hit in the first quarter of 2025.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a difficult situation, but their press release tries to put a more positive spin on it,
Okay.
calling this a strategic realignment to get ready for 2025.
Okay.
It seems they're not just cutting costs to survive.
Right.
They want to use this as a chance to invest in what they think are their most promising projects.
And it's not just about tightening the belt.
Right.
It's about choosing which battles to fight.
Exactly.
And it looks like their big bet is on this BOTBL program that's botensilimab and balstilimab.
Yep.
2 drugs they're developing together.
2 drugs together as a combination therapy.
Okay.
And the press release is really excited about this program. They're talking about strong results in clinical trials for some very challenging cancers.
They're focusing on cancers like MSS CRC, NSCLC, pancreatic cancer, and sarcoma.
Yeah.
Those are not easy to treat.
Exactly. Those are areas where new treatments are desperately needed.
Right.
So if BOTBL can really deliver, it could be a major breakthrough.
Yeah.
Not just for Agenus, but for patients facing these difficult diagnoses.
So that makes sense. It sounds like they're putting a lot of eggs in the BOTBL basket.
They are.
But they're also looking at other ways to use their resources, right?
Yeah.
They mentioned optimizing their manufacturing capabilities?
That's right.
Go
They're
ahead.
trying to get creative and generate revenue from different sources.
Okay.
Instead of just making their own drugs, they want to offer their manufacturing expertise to other companies.
So like a side hustle for a biotech company?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
They're calling it a fee-for-service model. This way, they can still use their manufacturing facilities, keep their expertise in-house, and potentially make some money while they wait for BOTBL to hopefully take off.
That's a pretty clever way to use their existing resources.
It is.
But the 8K mentions they'll need to find outside funding to help make this transition happen.
Right.
So we'll have to see if they can pull that off.
Yeah, securing that funding will be crucial.
Okay.
But what's interesting to me is their overall strategy.
Yeah.
They're streamlining, focusing on their most promising asset, and trying to create new revenue streams. It suggests they're thinking long-term and trying to position themselves for success in a really competitive market.
So it sounds like they're trying to adapt to the current climate in biotech.
They are.
Dr. Garo Arman, their CEO, is quoted in the press release as saying, "We remain committed to advancing BOTBA for patients with cancers that have limited or no treatment options."
Yeah, that statement really highlights what's at stake here.
Yeah.
It's not just about business, it's about people's lives.
Right.
Agenus is hoping to develop treatments that could make a real difference for patients who are running out of options.
And it's worth remembering that these decisions, these big changes, they affect real people.
Absolutely.
The press release mentions staff reductions, which is never easy.
Right. You're right.
And this is an important point to consider. While we talk about strategic realignment and financial maneuvering,
Yeah,
we can't forget the human cost of these decisions.
you're absolutely right.
Let's dive into this a bit more. Is focusing solely on BOTBL a smart strategy? Or is Agenus putting all its eggs in one basket?
Yeah, is this too much focus on one program?
Right.
It's a calculated risk, you know?
Right.
Drug development is inherently uncertain. There's always a chance that even the most promising drug candidates might fail in later stages of clinical trials.
So it's a high-risk, high-reward situation.
Exactly. If BOTB succeeds,
Yeah.
it could be a game changer for Agenus, It would validate their strategy, attract more investors, and potentially generate significant revenue.
Right.
But if it fails,
Yeah,
well, they've put a lot of resources into a program that doesn't pan out.
that makes sense.
Right.
But they're not just sitting around waiting for BOTBL to either succeed or fail.
Right.
They're taking steps to become more financially stable.
Yeah.
This move to cut spending by 60%
Oh, yeah.
is pretty dramatic.
It's a bold move.
Yeah.
And it shows they're serious about becoming more sustainable. The biotech industry is facing some headwinds right now.
Okay.
Investors are more cautious, and funding is harder to come by.
So by reducing their reliance on outside funding, they're giving themselves more control over their own destiny.
Precisely. They're trying to weather the storm and position themselves to come out stronger on the other side.
Okay.
And this new fee-for-service model with their manufacturing capabilities could be a smart way to do that.
You mentioned earlier that this was a savvy move,
Yeah.
but wouldn't they face stiff competition from companies that already specialize in contract manufacturing?
Sure.
What makes Agenus stand out in that crowded market?
That's a great question, and it's something they'll have to address if they want this strategy to succeed.
Right.
They'll need to convince potential clients that they offer something unique, whether it's specialized expertise, a faster turnaround time, or a more competitive price.
So it's not a guaranteed win.
No.
They'll have to work hard to make this new venture successful.
Absolutely. But it does demonstrate their willingness to adapt and explore new avenues for growth.
Okay, so this whole situation is a reminder that biotech is a complex business.
It is.
It's not just about scientific discoveries. It's also about financial strategy, market dynamics, and of course, the human impact.
You're absolutely right. And the 8K gives us a glimpse into how these factors intersect.
Right.
We see Agenus making tough choices to balance their scientific ambitions with the realities of the marketplace. And ultimately, their success or failure will have ripple effects on patients, employees, and investors.
And this brings us back to the human cost of these decisions.
Yeah.
While they are offering support to those affected by the layoffs, it's still a difficult situation for everyone involved.
Absolutely. It's important to acknowledge that these business decisions have real-world consequences. People's livelihoods are at stake, and while Agenus seems committed to supporting their employees through this transition,
Right.
it's still a challenging time for everyone.
So we've got Agenus streamlining operations, focusing on a potentially groundbreaking therapy and exploring new business avenues.
Yep.
It's a lot going on.
A lot going on.
But what does this all mean for the average person who might be following Agenus?
Well, it's a fascinating case study in how biotech companies operate.
Yeah.
It shows the challenges they face, the strategic decisions they make, and the potential impact of their work. For someone interested in this field, it's a real-world example of how science, business, and the human element all come together.
And for someone who might be considering investing in Agenus.
Well, this 8K is a valuable piece of information.
Yeah.
It provides insights into their financial health, their strategic priorities, and their plans for the future. Of course, it's important to do your own research and consider all the risks involved before making any investment decisions.
Great point. Never make investment decisions based solely on what you hear on a podcast.
Exactly. Always do your own due diligence.
Right.
But this deep dive can be a helpful starting point for understanding Agenus and their current situation.
Definitely giving us a lot to think about. Agenus is in a pivotal moment facing challenges and opportunities. They're making some big bets, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I agree. Their story is a microcosm of what's happening in the biotech industry as a whole. Companies are having to adapt to a changing landscape, make tough choices, and find innovative ways to succeed.
And through it all, they're trying to develop treatments that could improve the lives of millions of people.
That's the ultimate goal, and that's what makes this field so compelling to follow.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from workforce reductions and cost cutting to their big bet on the BOTBL program.
We have.
But before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to something you said earlier about the challenges facing the biotech industry. What are some of the bigger trends that are impacting companies like Agenus?
Well, one of the biggest trends is the increasing cost of drug development. It's become incredibly expensive to bring a new drug to market, with estimates ranging from hundreds of millions to even billions of dollars.
Wow, that's a lot of money. Why is it so expensive?
Well, there are several factors.
Okay.
Clinical trials are becoming more complex and require more participants,
Right.
which drives up costs. The regulatory process is also very rigorous with stringent safety and efficacy standards that need to be met.
Okay.
And then there's always the risk of failure.
Right.
Many drug candidates don't make it through all the stages of clinical trials, meaning companies invest a lot of money without any guarantee of a return.
So it's a high-stakes game.
Exactly. And that's why we're seeing companies like Agenus having to make tough choices.
Right.
They need to be strategic about allocating resources, prioritize their most promising programs, and find ways to become more efficient.
It makes their decision to focus on BOTBL even more significant.
It
They're
does.
putting a lot of faith in this program to deliver.
They are, and it's understandable. If BOTBL succeeds, it could help them overcome some of these financial hurdles and provide the resources they need to continue developing other potentially life-saving treatments.
It's a reminder that the decisions these companies make have far-reaching implications. It's not just about business. It's about the future of medical innovation and the hope for new treatments for serious diseases.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this field so exciting.
Right.
Despite the challenges, these companies are pushing the boundaries of science and working tirelessly to develop therapies that could transform the lives of patients around the world.
Well, thank you for taking us on this deep dive into Agenus's latest 8K. It's been incredibly insightful.
It's been a pleasure joining you.
And to all of you watching, we hope you found this deep dive informative. Remember, this is for informational purposes only and not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. If you'd like to see more deep dives like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.